What's up, Moto buddies? Mike here from Tacobout Co. This is a 24 501, Husqvarna 501 FES. This is the street version. This is the plated version of the 501. They come in two flavors. The W, which is essentially the off-road bike. It's basically the same machine without the turn signals and some of the electrics. And we can convert your W or your XCF-W if you have the KTM. So on the KTM side, it'd be the E-XCF for the plated bike, and then the XCF-W for the off-road version. And again, those off-road versions just have a few less features. They don't have the mirrors or the turn signals and those items that make it a street legal bike, but we have conversion kits to accommodate that if that's something you want to do. So this is a dirty bike. I have, and I'm out in the desert. So two things you typically don't see from us lately anyway, where we've got a bike that has just come back from some shakeout trial testing and then being out here in the desert instead of at the shop. Last night went out on some ride testing at night in Las Vegas. It's July 6th, I think. Last night was the 5th, right after the 4th of July, and it's been like 115 degrees here in Vegas. And so went out last night after dark to do my testing, and then that also allowed me to test the headlights. So maybe we start there. This is the Taco Tower. This is made by our buddy Joe in Australia. This is a Yencro tower, and we have adapted this and suited this for our needs and sell this to our custom build customers through our build program. Not available on the site just yet. There's some tricks and things that we've done to this one that make it a unique Tacobout product. Let's take a look at the lights here. So these are two diode dynamics lights, and on the bottom one you have the low beam, and notice all those vertical slits in there. Now it's kind of counterintuitive that the two are vertical but yet the light throw is horizontal. So that's the low wide, and that one is not. So these are not street legal, but the bottom one is streetable. So that, to be very specific and clear, there's really no aftermarket. It's maybe not so much no, but it's very difficult to get a DOT rating on an aftermarket light because there's just so much that goes into that. And so tons of the manufacturers don't have true DOT ratings on their aftermarket lights, and that goes for in the automotive world as well as the moto, off-road and moto. And what is something to consider though is the light street smart, street safe, and that's the case here. So that wide throw pattern on the low beam light, it's made for like auxiliary driving lights, like fog lights is essentially what these are marketed as from certain manufacturers that do in fact have that designation on their lights. And then the top is a pinpoint spot. And so with these two, you get low and wide and then far out throw, and they do a great job when you're riding stuff like BDRs, wide open stuff, double track, on the road, on pavement, on asphalt, highway. I've taken this bike on all of those scenarios, and I never once, with the low beam, never once had anybody flick a high light at me. You know, when oncoming traffic will flick their lights to signal to turn them down, and it's very smart and very reasonable. And that light does a great job for all of those situations. Really bright, really clear. I was quite happy with it. Looking at the tire up front, a tire we use a lot. This is the MOTO's Tractionator ST. So that's a soft terrain tire. I like a soft, pliable front tire. You know, if there's, and I've said this before, if there's one thing, if you could only do one thing to your bike, put on a absolute killer front tire. And that's what we have here. And there's, inside of there, we're running Moose. Those are the Moose balls. Really great feedback and feel. Very good tire and Moose combination. That's just a killer setup. Suspension, that's Tacobout in-house tuned, fully revalved. Now the 24s come with a very competent and very good suspension. And then we've got a revalving program that does a great job. And it doesn't take many clicks from the clickers, compression and rebound, to really find the sweet spot. I only had to do a couple of each section, you know, the rebound and compression, to get this set up exactly in the sweet spot. It's been resprung for the rider's weight. He's a little heavier than I am, And even still, just a couple of clicks and I found what made me really happy, and we'll coach him on adjusting the clickers to his liking, and that is going to work out really well for him. Now, dingo on the guards, these are really heavy duty guards for crash protection, and then fork shrinks up on top, and that's just for cosmetics. And then TM Design Works down there on the lower lugs. So the shield, this is the tall. There's two sizes. There's a low and tall. This is the tall. We have a shorter one that's probably 3/4 of the height, maybe somewhere around in there. And that's more of like the, I don't know, the cafe racer size and style. And if I was going to be out doing some single track bashing, I would swap to the smaller one. You could also just take it off, and I've seen these with it removed, and it looks a little funky, but that's an option. If you're gonna get into some real backcountry, you could just pop that screen off and save it from getting scratched up. Tacomoto turn signals, these have a really bright white run light feature, and then the sequential signals come out. Highway dirt bikes on the bar guards, you see these from us from time to time, and they have a bolted, tapped in big bar end, integrated mirrors, really stout, and then Mako 360 on the bar clamp up there, and that's got lots of nice vibration dampening and isolation characteristics. Got stabilizer. You can see up here we've got the key, turn signal indicator with a lot of power functions in there. The Voyager Pro. Over here we have a USB charge port, and then up top we've got ram ball configuration, and then that's a what is that? I forget the brand of that. It'll come to me later and I'll try to remember back to that. Peak Designs, that's it, PD, Peak Designs. And you can mount your phone there. And I like to put my phone there in vertical so that I have better access to where I'm headed. And this will be in horizontal mode, and then this will be in vertical mode, and that's good coverage for your GPS. Got some STR fork bleeders here. IMS 4.5 gallon tank. And this is a good candidate for the taco snorkel because, as you know, you're going to run out of gas on the new generation bikes as soon, if you're on flat level ground, as soon as you get to the frame area here where the gas sits beneath the level of the pickup and the fuel pump. You ride on flat areas, so you're doing some BDRs, you're not bouncing around, you'll run out of gas. Conversely though, if you are bouncing and sloshing and that gas is going airborne, it will make its way up into that pickup. There's a pad, an absorbent pad screen on the bottom of the fuel pump. And so if you are bouncing, that's the thing. If you are off-roading and catching some air, that gas is fine, and you don't have a fuel starvation issue, a fuel run out issue. It's for riders who ride on flat. That's where you will run out of gas. So there's that taco snorkel will solve that. Up here on the handlebars, let's take a look at the Get ECU system. This is the new for 24 map switch with the all new for 24 firmware and Tacomoto maps on the SX1, Tacomoto SX1 ECU. And the features you get out of this are quick shift, which is an absolute kick in the pants. So fun. I really enjoyed riding this bike with that setup. And then you have, on the other side, you have launch control, and then two maps. Map 2 is our enduro single track map. And if you are in map 2 with traction control up around 8 or 9, kind of high level, you just are crawling up mountains. It's a great billy goat mode and does a great job of managing your energy, rider fatigue. That's fabulous for that. And then map 1 is just no controls, no rider management, just straight up race mode power, wheelie mode. Man, it is all the beans. So two very distinct personalities with our maps, and these maps are created in-house to our specifications on our in-house dyno, and then I go out personally and ride test these maps and make any little final adjustments based on my own perceptions of what I think the riders that we are targeting these towards are after, and then we'll take these to Baja and ride test them at Baja. So these get lots of good feedback, and then I have a little group of test riders that we also send these to, and we get their feedback as well. So there's a little process that we go through to set these up, and they're always very well received. We just get so many messages of praise and email that come back from riders who are just big fans of the mapping and the rider personality, the power personality that we put out on these bikes. Let's see here. So Tacomoto Slim Switch, and that's a nice thing to get that clutch perch away so that you don't have the, well, we don't change the clutch perch, but to get the knob here, the adjustment knob will hit on the back of the stock lever, or stock switch rather. And then we also, on our new 24 bikes, because the electronics are so new and different, we have the off function on our switch. So we have off and then low and high. And that's only available from our switch gear and our lighting setup. Let's see, Scott stabilizer, I think we might have mentioned that. So tank, bars, that might do it for the front end. Maybe one thing I'll point out also is we have our own way of managing the cable. This cable here, we bracket it here, we grab it here and up here a little higher, and these are this is how we manage this cable. And then we give so this is Yamaha style, Honda, Yamaha, some of those Japanese bikes have done this for years, where essentially the brake and then the speedo, they just flex out here. And the whole idea behind that is to eliminate this brake cable from jacking up and down right in here in this area, and then grabbing a hold of or being in the way of your GPS or anything you have mounted on your bars. So by doing that, this is now fixed. This never moves. It flexes down there and cleans up your bars and minimizes that problem, eliminates that problem. And that's done really well for us. Graphics, custom graphics, these are in-house designed, printed and applied, and then the rider threw a couple of little personal touches on there. And we can accommodate any request that you have for your graphics. On the engine, we got a molecule skid plate, and there is the Tacomoto oil filter, dirt tricks on that dome washer. That's a really nice upgrade. That's almost for us an essential upgrade. The horn is mounted here. We remove it from the front of the bike, and then we put it here in the engine case area. And on our electrical system, we have so many electrical adaptations and upgrades. Here is an SAE trickle charger, and that's tucked in nicely out there. Air stand foot pegs by Promoto Billet, and this is Heel Saver, great feature. Chair bees, we run these on all our bikes because of the thin material, the thin, really lightweight swing arm, the new for 24. I've seen some holes punctured into there. And then back here we have the bulletproof designs. This is the little protector here for the chain guide. Dirt tricks on that washer, not the washer, but the rear sprocket, and then Warp 9 titanium bolts with a really cool oil slick finish. Just a beautiful, all of that rear end here, this just so beautiful. Bulletproof designs on this adjuster here. MOTO's Tractionator Enduro, this is the IT version, a 130 size, which is a nice beefy tire, very comfortable, very good off-road tire. Yeah, Dirt Tricks, the stock, we use the stock gearing, and then we have a Cush Drive hub. This is a Warp 9 Elite rear wheel, oversized stainless steel spokes, stainless steel nipples, beefy rear, front and rear. We did the same thing front and rear, but this is a Cush, the front is not, obviously. And then a beefy rim. So that is a wheel, this wheel set right here is just an absolute problem solver. The Cush Drive promotes a nice smoother feel when you're on and off the power on the roadway, and then they are replaceable. The dampers will last forever. So now you have dual dampers. So there's dampers back here at the rear tire, and then there's dampers inside the clutch, which typically need to be changed around 70 to 80 hours. And we always pop in the Dirt Trick, not the Dirt Tricks, but the Dirt Trick sprocket, but the Recluse dampers inside of our clutches. And we do those on new bikes straight away. So basically on our builds, we swap out the stock dampers for the Recluse dampers. We don't even put any time on them. We just immediately, straight away put them in. And then so you have the dampers in the clutch basket, you have the damper back here in the final drive, and the driveline shock is just almost eliminated. So smooth, power roll-on and roll-offs, and it will increase the chain life and the driveline life. So you pay a weight penalty. That rear wheel assembly obviously weighs a little bit more than the stock one, but you have those benefits. And then with the upgraded spokes and nipples and so on, this is just a worry-free, problem-free lifetime wheel set. It's a really solid upgrade. Inside of here, we have the PC Racing filter skin, PC Racing base gasket. We have our tacobout electrical upgrades. That's going on. Here is the Golan fuel filter. We put those on all our builds. Let's see, that might be a good wrap on that side and that area. Tacomoto on the tidy tail. That's turn, run, and brake in all in one. And then this is the Enduro plate, license plate. So the advantage of this is when you fall over, fall down, your plate doesn't absorb all those forces. This sort of breaks away. There's some really high strength magnets in here that hold that and reattach that. That's pretty cool. On the exhaust, I've said this many times, stock muffler, Pro Mobility end cap with ultra silent insert. That configuration. So last night when I was out riding, I forgot earplugs and I didn't need them because I recommend earplugs 100% of the time. However, I just forgot some last night, and I kind of halfway through my ride, I realized I didn't have them, and then I just observed, wow, this bike is quiet. Now, let me say, it's not as quiet as stock. Nothing is. None of the aftermarket setups are as quiet. However, this is the quietest, and I need to do some DB testing, and I'll report those numbers. I've done it in the past, but I need to do a fresher version of it. And I think what we're going to find is that right there is the quietest exhaust configuration that there is. And the power is so smooth and so nice down low. I just am a big fan of that setup. Note here on the molecule skid plate that for the Husqvarna bikes, it has a nice little drop down to protect the linkage. That is a nice feature to have. Bulletproof on the brake lever, and that's a billet. And a lot stronger and beefier than the stock one. And so if you were to take an oversized tip with some nice spikies on there. So if you took a rock here, you're way less likely to have that thing bend back. I've done it, I've seen it, and this will prevent that. Tacomoto on the oil filler cap. P3, love P3. Great guard. This is the max version with really good coverage. Samco hoses. And we retain the thermostat. We do not remove the thermostat on our bikes. So many myths out there about removing the thermostat. We never do it. And think about it. If it was a thing, if we believe that was an upgrade worth doing, we ride in Las Vegas. It's 100. Like last night when I was out riding, it was 90 at night. It was still like 96. I might take this out today. It's going to be 115 today. We ride in Vegas, the Southwest, Baja. Extreme hard enduro, extreme situations, extreme temperatures. And I never, ever remove the thermostat in any. I have no bike, 0 bikes have thermostat deletes. Every bike we have in our fleet, every one of my personal bikes, every bike that I ride has a thermostat in it. So that's all I have to say about that. Radiator guards, these are the Trail Tech. Now, the reason we like a Trail Tech for this big tank is because these are about as light as you're going to get. And they so you need a nice, strong radiator guard for this tank. And the Trail Tech has really a couple of nice features. Comes down, protects the hose. We like that. And super light. Now, one thing I'll say about the Trail Tech, along with many others, this isn't just sort of a dig on these guards, because a lot of guards do not protect the side, and these don't. Let me see if I can get in here. You'll see that there's just no side protection on a Trail Tech guard. And that's not so much a specific thing to the Trail Tech. Like I said, a lot of guards do not protect the side. But when you have a tank that effectively is your side protection, not a thing. So here, the goal would be front protection and lightness, and that's where the Trail Tech are a winner. So you'll see on our setups, when you've got the IMS big tank or another tank at the Cherubies, that is the side, the radiator side protection is the tank. We'll use something very light, and that's what we get with the Trail Tech guards right there. Get ECU system. So thinking about it under the seat, we have an upgraded battery. We might have the anti-gravity 8-cell battery on this bike, which is our total go-to battery for ultimate power. and then the Get ECU system. We've got some tacobout electronics underneath that seat as well. Speaking of the seat concepts, this is the XL, so that's the wide. I enjoy a wide seat on BDRs and longer endurance type rides, and that's a great seat. Nice finished blue stitching, looks really good. So the whole thing looks great, ties up together really well. I don't know if there's anything else on here. If I see anything, I'll try to put it in the notes. Oh, the rotor guards. So STR, carbon fiber STR rotor guard on the front. And then back here, that's a G10 fiberglass type material on the rear. Super light, super durable. X-Trig, I just see that X-Trig adjuster here for the sag on the rear shock. And then we do this is our heat insulation procedure to keep the heat out of the shock. So that's probably it. If you have any questions about this bike build or want to do a bike build or any of the products on this machine, hit us up. Happy to talk to you, happy to help. Look forward to interacting with you in the future. Take care, go out, get some adventure.